Okay, guys, so this is kind of a random last minute addition to the whole setup series. It will still continue even after my last part, which was meant to be the furniture. But recently, I got myself a new console and I decided I would make a console section since I actually got a capture card. And I thought that would be kind of important. You know, capture cards aren't necessarily just for consoles, it can be for if you're doing a two PC setup or some other things. I'm not gonna really go into too many specifics on those because I think those are some things that I may experiment with doing in the future. For now, we're just gonna look at it under like I think the pretext of just consoles. That's what most people kind of use them for is using consoles, Elgato streaming or recording while also having your audio and everything. I'm going to show you me unboxing the PlayStation 5, which is the new console I got, and the Elgato 60X. Wait, HD60X. I think that's what it's called. And I also have a Switch, but you're not going to see that portion. If you guys want to see the more behind the scenes, I did do a vlog of me getting my PS5 and then playing around with it a little bit and kind of explaining the process a little more. For this, you're just going to see the unboxing and me kind of explaining my thought process into how, you know, this kind of this can kind of like change things for yourself if you want to do different stuff, like the possibilities of what you could do essentially. But you're not here for that, you know, that's all kind of my perspective stuff. You're more here to see the unboxing, so let's just jump right into it. So right off the bat, the PlayStation 5 box, I have used these, I have seen these before because I used to work at Best Buy, so I used to see a ton of these. I'm not gonna lie, when you buy it yourself, it's much bigger than you kind of expect. Also, this thing is so form fitted, like it's flush. So getting it out was it's a little bit of a struggle. So you can see I ripped the box. I really was trying not to be 100% honest, but yeah, that took me forever because the box is so tight onto the actual, like, I guess this interior box you're seeing now. But this interior box wasn't so bad. Cause I mean the PS5 is not shaped like a box, so it kind of fit in there a little. Like it was a little easier to take out, I think. Well, now here's me looking at it, guessing. Oh, okay, never mind. I was like, I think it was easy to take out. Yeah, so this was the accessory box. I think my confusion was like, where's the PS5? So it came with the controller, the cables, the manual. I'll show you guys that stuff later. But the main thing I wanted to get out first was the PlayStation 5, which at this point I was looking at now and, you know, happy that it wasn't in another box. You guys can kind of see it from this angle, I think. There you go. You got the guard covers on each side. Makes sense. It makes sense because, you know, you don't want the device to get hurt when it's getting bumped around. And I actually like the interior box. I think it looks pretty clean. So I've kept it. I might use it in the future. I don't know for what exactly, but um, why not? But these guard covers, I think I still have these, but I'm not I'm not gonna use them again. But you can see the box is big, but the PS5 itself is it's not bad for size. I think this is the biggest PlayStation ever. Is this the biggest PlayStation ever? I'm not too sure because I remember way back I did have a, well, I didn't have it, but I played on a PS2 and I don't think it was very large in comparison. I think the PlayStation 4 is also kind of slimish compared to this. Oh my, yeah, the PS5 is a big boy, but it kind of works. Like especially considering the box, I was like maybe it's bigger than I'm giving it credit for, but it was all right. All right, so like I said before, I'll go over all this stuff, the accessories, the controller. I'll tell you what, the controller is impressive. The actual like look of it is, I mean, it's the most expensive controller out of all the consoles in terms of like purchasing. If you were to purchase a PS5 controller, it costs more than an Xbox or Switch Pro controller, but you can kind of feel it just looking at it. Obviously, you can see all the manuals here and stuff. I didn't really go through the manuals too much, but we got the stand, the vertical stand, which I'll be honest, I'm not using. And we got our cables. I think that's one HDMI and one one power cord, sorry. Power cord, HDMI, and I think there was USB-C. I'm not too sure. And then we're going to get into the actual capture card. So, oh, it is the HD60X. See, I told you I was right. So on this, I would say the packaging for Elgato, I mean, it's not a competition, but the packaging for Elgato, I guess actually it kind of is a competition, but the packaging for Elgato is it's a little easier to deal with. Like, you don't have to see me go through any cuts because They package it well. It's easy to take out, more or less. I don't know why every company has like a box within a box with the logo and a more minimalistic side. You can see the guide on how to use it. It's pretty helpful. I would go over it, but I mean, yeah, I'm sure you guys will figure it out. So, oh, okay, this is where I got it. USB-C to USB-A and a HDMI to HDMI. Well, the HDMI is going to be important when you're hooking up to your console or whatever you're trying to get your output with. And then USB-C is just important to connect to your PC. You can see the imports here. USB-C would go into the middle, and then you plug that in the USB-A side to your PC. The device itself it looks pretty nice, very minimal. I like it. You got your HDMI in and your HDMI out. You put the HDMI in with the cable that you are, trying to get the device with. So, for example, my PlayStation 5, I put the HDMI port in for the HDMI in port, and then the HDMI out port goes towards, if I remember correctly, it goes towards your monitor. Yes, it would go towards your monitor, not your PC, which I was actually confused about because I was like, wait, how does it hook up to the PC then? Then I realized, oh, okay, right, the USB-C. But yeah, overall, it's pretty simplistic. There's not much to it. Switch is the same idea because all consoles have an HDMI port. So anything that has an HDMI port, not even console, could really technically, I guess, if it creates like an output on HDMI, like a signal for displaying, then you could display it. I wish I could come up with examples off the top of my head, but like I said before, you could also do this for a PC. So if you're doing a 2 PC setup, which I might do in the future if I could afford it, we'll see, a 2 PC setup, the relevance to this would be if you were streaming. For any of you guys who want to stream, if you're really making money off streaming, I don't know why you're watching my video, but if you're making a lot of money off streaming and you want to, like, reduce the load of, like, having your stream, your game, and all that stuff on one PC, because that can slow stuff down a little bit, then you can technically just have the PC you're gaming on, use a capture card to input it into your streaming PC, which has your OBS and all this stream stuff, and there you go. Then you just have your gaming output. I mean, it's the same idea as using a console. You just treat your PlayStation, not your PlayStation. You just treat your PC as another console, essentially. The only part where it gets a little weird, I guess, is gaming, because I guess you have to find a way to use your keyboard for both PCs and your mouse for both PCs. Huh. Yeah, again, this is just stuff that I've, like, roughly gone over. I don't know the exact details, but put it down below if you guys know how that works. But in general, I'm just talking about the capabilities of what you could do with a capture card. The actual technical stuff, sometimes it gets a little here and there, which I also will say, this isn't as easy as it looks. Like, for me, I hooked it up, but because I have, if you see my previous parts, I had one on audio. I have a Wave XLR from Elgato. Because I have a Wave XLR, I can actually do this very, very simply. And the main problem I have with the PlayStation is audio. Because I have the Wave XLR, I can control my outputs and inputs on my audio, and I can actually get my PlayStation, the input and everything. I can hear it properly while also screen recording with OBS. The weird thing is that seems like it should be a given just off OBS, but it kind of isn't. I didn't play around with it too much because luckily I had the Wave software, which is Elgato's audio software. This isn't a sponsor. I mean, I'm not getting enough views for a sponsor anyways, but you get the idea. Like, this is just kind of like, you can do this with other softwares as well. I know Beacon has one, which is kind of a niche company though. Like, they're very, very good, but like getting access to their stuff should be easier now, but it might not be the easiest. Like, oh, I walk into a Best Buy and I get my my Beacon. I'm trying to think of what else. I'm sure there's other companies with audio softwares, but in general, having that helps a lot when it comes to working with your console output, what you're hearing while also recording. So I would suggest trying to, like, explore that avenue if you're going to go that direction with it. In general, I think that's basically it. But in terms of how this kind of changes things, I mean, for the most part, it doesn't really change anything from, like, a consumer level. I think the only thing I really do appreciate is that even when I'm not recording, I kind of do just have my Elgato, like not my Elgato, sorry, my OBS as like my console essentially, so I can like watch YouTube on the same screen that I'm playing like Spider-Man 2. You know what I mean? Like to me, I don't know. It's just kind of I don't know. It's fun. It's fun. I'm like, yeah, why not? Might as well. Am I getting like the full, 4K, 60 hertz gaming? No, no, I am not. This can do that output, by the way. It can. Um, does it do 60? I think it does 60. It does 4K. It has a 4K output, but I'm trying to remember. Is it 60? I'm not too sure. I'll have to double check that. But it does have a variable refresh rate. So the refresh rate does actually change. It's not like a stagnant refresh rate, which is pretty helpful if you do what I just said, which is game through, your capture card. Which, I mean, if you're not recording, you could just change inputs. But for me personally, I mean, I do have two screens. I guess I don't necessarily have to do it. I could just like use the other screen. But I digress. My point is, for now, I mean, I do have my QD OLED screen, which if you looked at the monitor part of the setup video, this is why the setup series is helpful, because each part is kind of building upon like the context of the situation. I do have a QD OLED, but the output on it is only 1440, only 1440. On OLED, that's pretty good, but still. I don't have any 4K monitor. I don't have a 4K TV, so there's not really any way for me to get the 4K output. But in the future, yeah, sure, why not? In terms of my actual opinions on the PS5, because I haven't really like touched on that part, it's good. It's good. I do feel like it's definitely one of those things where, it's a really good device that I don't think is getting capitalized. Like it's not getting used by developers as much as it should, which is it is disappointing. Like I mean, the PlayStation 5 is probably I don't know if it's even halfway through its lifespan just yet, but I think it's coming pretty close. And so far, it's looking like it might be one of those things where, in hindsight, it might be a waste of a device. Like in terms of like not to purchase, but like from developers, like you have really good hardware here that you're not utilizing. I feel like in terms of gaming as well as you could. Like the only people that are really doing it is Insomniac with Spider-Man 2 and Ratchet and Clank and all that stuff. Like sorry, I'm going on a little bit of a tangent, but my point is, in terms of like the PlayStation 5 experience, it's really good if you're playing the right games for it. Otherwise, I don't know, Steam just works. But that's why a lot of the exclusives are pretty good, because they do work off how well the PS5 actually works. The only gripe with that is that eventually those PlayStation exclusives are available on Steam. So I mean, it's kind of like, if you're getting it and the game is like 2 years old, I mean, you might have just done a bad thing there, because you could have just waited until it showed up on Steam, which will probably happen in a couple months. Anyways, I think that is it. Oh, by the way, one last thing. On the Switch, it was fine. There was just a weird thing with color correction that you can just fix on OBS or Streamlabs or whatever you're using your output, to stream and record. Like it was a little weird, but I just fixed it real quick on the game capture, so it should be all good. Again, I didn't really touch on the Switch, but the Switch also works pretty well. Yeah, I actually think it works better on the Switch than it does on the PlayStation 5, because there's less juice you have to power out there. So I mean, the output is just 1080, so no problem there. But yeah, let me know down below if you guys do use a capture card. What's your experience with it? If you guys are console gamers or PC gamers, because I do feel like this whole setup thing. Normally, setups are very like PC heavy. They're very PC heavy, and I mean, it makes sense, right? It's a setup. You're gonna have a computer. Or there are some setups I have seen which only use a console. And if you're one of those people, I'm curious how your experience normally goes. Like, if you're just browsing, you just take out your phone? Because I always kind of thought about that. I'm like, I've seen those setups where somebody just has like consoles and a TV, and I'm like, I mean, props, but I don't really know how you do it. I don't know how you do it, but yeah, now I got the best of both worlds. But I am kind of curious to people that are console gamers. What your experience is like. You ever think about going to PC? I'm not trying to convert anybody. I'm just saying. I'm just curious. Anyways, jokes aside, if you guys did enjoy this, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Hope you guys have a good day. Take care, peace, and goodbye.